Hi, I'm Holly Becker, and welcome to my presentation about living trends for 2023 for DOMOTEX. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to give this presentation and to introduce you to four of what I feel are really big trends for interiors in 2023. So let's get started. So let's look at what's changed since Corona, because a lot of us are on the other side of it, or, I mean, of course, it's still out there, but we don't have the lockdowns. We're not under the same restraints that we were before. So life is a little different on the other side of all this, right? But a lot has changed, actually. We've changed. We all better recognize the value in having a home reflect who we are and to support and enhance our life. I think we can all agree on that statement, right? Also, home has become more of an office. A lot of my friends who are working full time before in an office are still working a lot at home, or they're doing a split between the office and the home. Whereas, 3 years ago, that was unheard of. People weren't really doing a lot of work at home at the same amount that they're doing today. So a lot's changed in that regard. Also, people are shopping more online, and it's really something to see. I mean, I'm living in a big city in a neighborhood, and I see people getting deliveries all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how many Amazon boxes I see coming into my own house. I live in a apartment building, and everyone's always receiving packages from all kinds of places. So definitely more and more people are shopping online. The world's changed a lot, I feel, even over the past couple of years since Corona. I mean, it feels like it's just getting so much smaller. We know what's going on at all times in all corners of the globe. And also, another thing that has changed is people are a lot more vocal when it comes to the things that they feel very passionate about, and they're using the internet to communicate those passions and those feelings. And that is a really big observation that I've had, and that I'm sure you've also had as well. Another thing that I noticed is people are learning more online. I actually teach online. I have classes about photography and styling, also social media. And I noticed that my students, even after 16 years of online teaching, I still have more than enough people who want to get involved in my classes. People are still so interested in online learning. In fact, they're more interested. People are ordering takeaway more. There's Lieferando and Uber Eats, and you just see this constantly, people getting takeout. People are following trends online more than ever. They're watching brands and influencers. There are companies that hire people just to watch TikTok all day to be able to see what's happening in the market, to see what consumers want, what consumers are doing. And smartphones are also used way more. And people aren't necessarily using their phones to call people. They're using their phones to text people and to leave voice notes, like on WhatsApp. I have a friend, and she's a bit older than me, and she always complains, and she's like, "Why don't you ever call me?" And I'm like, "Call you? I don't call anyone unless it's an emergency. If someone calls me, I think either two things: something really bad has happened or someone's died." I don't think like it's normal anymore to just call people in the way that it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Everyone is using WhatsApp and, contacting each other through text or through voice messaging. We also exercise less in the gym. I notice at my gym, people just aren't showing up like they used to. A lot of people are doing classes online now. They're doing classes from home online, and they're also using nature for fitness more. I see more and more people jogging and biking and into, all of these outdoor activities. So I think in some ways there's been a lot of good that's come out of a lot of bad, right? Also, we have to think more about what we buy, and that's what I think a lot of people are doing. A lot of consumers are shopping less emotionally and more intentionally. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, I know before Corona, when I used to go shopping, I would have a shopping cart. Now I just grab a basket. And even though I look through lots of things and I find many different things that I'm interested in, I put them in the basket. And usually by the time I go to the checkout, I've emptied the basket down to maybe one or two items. And then sometimes I empty it completely and leave the store empty handed. It's not because I'm frugal or because, I'm just like, I don't know, I just going into a shop to have fun. It's not any type of retail therapy for me to go into a store and look around at things and leave. I'm basically going in and I'm looking at things and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, do I really need this? I already have 10 vases. Do I really need another vase? Do I really need another pillow? So we're shopping more intentionally. We're thinking about more in terms of, do we really need this? Where was it made? Who's behind it? What is the company's values? What's going on here? I mean, people are really starting to ask those questions. And designers, not just consumers, but on the designer side, designers are really asking these questions as well. And they're looking to use technology more in design. They're drawing from traditional elements to bring traditional classical design forward and to blend it with technology. So using technology to take things further and to show things in a new and smart way. I noticed recently I saw some lamps that were made out of mushrooms and like a faux leather that was made out of mushrooms. And I thought, wow, that's a really clever way to use technology to take something from nature and turn it into a sustainable product that can be easily sourced in your local forest. Designers wish to use materials in more innovative ways and more responsibly. So these things have happened since Corona. And now I want to just highlight one brand. I love their values that they've posted on their website. And I want to share those with you now because I really feel like a lot of young brands that are coming up or brands that are even more established are starting to think in this way. The name of this company is Out. They're in Berlin, and they're called Objekt unserer Tage, but their abbreviation is Out. And their values are as follows. You can read along with me. We want functionality and aesthetics. We are innovative tradition. We are in love with design and material conscious. We act responsibly and sustainably. We attach importance to details and do without kitsch. We maintain or we manufacture with refinement and craftsmanship. We stay open and curious. We create space for a self-determined generation. We are digital and share with our friends. We demand diversity and equal rights. We celebrate real life and natural beauty. We are designed in Berlin and made in Germany. So these are their values. This is something that I'm seeing more and more with a lot of brands. They're not only communicating the values that they have with their design and their practice, the different ways that they're making things or, whatever it is relating to the actual design of a product, but they also going way beyond that to say, look, we demand diversity, we demand equal rights, we celebrate life. We're open, we're curious. They're going a bit beyond even just what they feel responsible design should be when it comes to actual product design. They're going way into something much further, and that is to really communicate what their brand values are, what their DNA is, how they really feel about the world and what their values are in that perspective. So we're going to see a lot more of that as we go forward. Now let's look at our trends. I know that's why you're here today. So I'm going to give you 4 that you can take away and you can share this presentation with your friends, with your colleagues. It's up to you, but this is for you. These are the key interior trends for 2023. And I want to note that there are so many other trends out there. There are micro trends, terracotta or green, plants, there are lots of micro trends, lots of small trends. You can see them when you go to your local store, things that are trending for Christmas and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the key interior trends for 2023 that you're going to see across the board at fairs, eventually in shops. Some of these things are already things that you can purchase. You're going to see these in your interior design magazines and books. Most of these are already out there and you can see them pretty commonly. It depends on which country you're living in, but these are key interior trends. So these aren't micro trends or little things that are going to last a few months. These are things that have staying power that will stick around for quite a while. So the first is New Mediterranean. This is a trend that I actually spotted around 2019, 2018 when I was in Paris, and it's just evolved into such a big thing now. The next trend is future retro pastels. The third is modern craft. And the fourth is, I'm calling it loud and proud. So let's get started. The first is new Mediterranean. So, new Mediterranean, what is it? It's an escape at home. It's vacation vibes, sculptural, organic shapes, curvy, fluid, relaxed. Doesn't that sound nice? It's really a home that is kind of like a hotel, but feels much more personal. It's got a real heavy vacation feeling. It feels like you're in the Mediterranean, right? You think of the countries that have the Mediterranean Sea. You think of Italy, you think of Turkey, you think of Northern Africa, right? These countries are all on the Mediterranean. So in the new Mediterranean look, you will see different influences from many different cultures. You'll see Berber carpets that come from North Africa, from the Atlas Mountains. You'll see different carpets and rugs and kilns that come from, Turkey, from the Grand Bazaar, influenced by the Turkish design. You'll see columns and Roman references that come from Italy and from, these places, Italy and the southern part of Europe, right? You'll see some Spanish design in all of this. There's a lot that you'll see in the new Mediterranean, but the thing that makes everything feel harmonious is that the color palette is kept very neutral, and everything just feels like it works together because the colors are kind of gone. It's basically beige and black and different tones of white and grays, and it's just very neutral. So you can take patterns and all of these different influences from many different cultures, and when you take out all of the color and you just sort of strip it down to something very neutral, it all automatically just works together. And then when you think of all of these different designs, you think of the carpets and you think of the patinas on the walls in these old buildings, and you think of the columns and all of these different architectural styles that are influencing the new Mediterranean. You can see clearly that this style or this trend is definitely influenced by all of these different places. But again, it feels harmonious. It's rustic, it's earthy, there's natural materials, and it's tradition meets modern. Let me show you some more of what the new Mediterranean looks like. I'm calling it Hotel at Home. This collection is largely inspired by travel, says Sarah Sherman Samuel, a United States interior designer. She's just designed for Lulu in Georgia, which is a company out in the US. And she said that in her new collection, there's a lot of influence from European architecture and old hotels that I love. And you can see her standing there in the entryway of, I believe it's her home. And you can see this style in her home. This is really the new Mediterranean style. Curves, it's shapely, it's just beautiful. And you can really see those Mediterranean influences there. So let's look now at Tinaka Home. This is a brand out of Denmark, and she's also using a lot of Mediterranean influences in her design. Again, there's archways, rustic Roman references like bust and sculpture. There's pottery that looks like it's 500 years old, but it's not. Natural fibers. So, as a person who's interested in DOMOTEX, as you are, and interested in rugs and flooring, it's interesting probably for you to know that in the new Mediterranean style, there's lots of wool and natural fibers, jute, hemp, things that are really well made and well crafted and that are very natural and feel good on your feet. Also linen, it's relaxed, it's casual. This is the new Mediterranean. And now let's look at this work from Elisa Ossini and Josephine Akfama Hofmeier. They are founders and curators of H&O in Milan. And they recently had a pop-up gallery at the Milan Design Week. And this is one of the rooms from that space that they designed. And it has a very new Mediterranean feeling, I believe. You have the stone on the floor, you have the tile, again, it's all very neutral. So everything works together because it's kept very neutral and very natural. It's an escape, it's sensory, it's earthy, it's organic, it's sculptural, it's neutral. That is, again, the new Mediterranean. And finally, for a reference for you that you may enjoy reading, there's a book from Gestalten called The New Mediterranean. It's already a few years old, and it's all showing homes and interiors under the southern sun. And I really believe that this book is fantastic if you want to look further into this trend. So let's proceed to future retro pastels. This is a fun one. This is packed with nostalgia. This is really referencing the 80s and 90s. I don't know when you were a kid, but I was a kid back then, and I remember arcade games and Hello Kitty, roller skating, all of those bubblegum colors, very, very, very sweet, very retro. But this trend goes beyond retro and it takes us into the future, And you can really see that in these two pictures. The first one is from Montana. They're a company based in Denmark, and they're doing lots of storage units, but in really, really bright, happy colors. And then the next is showing a table that was designed from English designer Bethan Laura Wood. And she's showing us something that I feel like it's nostalgic. It has this pastel colors, but it's also very futuristic. It's taking us into the future. So this future retro pastel trend is really pastels, but it has a hint of brightness to it. So it's not just, ice cream colors. There's neon, there's pops of red, orange, there's different even pops of red that make it a bit more grown up, a bit more edgy. There's lots of waves in this design, wavy patterns, motion. The shapes are harmonious. There's a lot of reflective surfaces like mirrors and colored glass and chrome and metal. All of these things really bring a lot of light into a space. It's also quite graphic. I would say it's very graphic. There's lots of checkerboard and stripes and just, it's bonkers. It's lots of fun. It's playful, it's creative, and it's Scandinavian inspired. In fact, I would go as far as to say is that I believe this trend really first came strong out of Denmark. Next year, for the Pantone color of the year in 2023, is digital lavender. That is their color that they've chosen for the year. And I think it works very well with future retro, don't you think? So this example of hot desk is from designer Bethan Laura Wood. I referenced her earlier, and this is a really cool desk that is a commission. It's called, as she explains it, an ice cream gallery of rocks float in a pool of soft ice cream in this specially commissioned desk. It's laminate, it's MDF and powder coated steel, and it's very original, very fun, and it definitely is future retro. Let's look at these pictures. This is from Montana Furniture and from Rice, also Danish firms. And again, it's all about nostalgia. It's a real retro throwback back to those times when you had roller skates and you went to the roller rink. You played, Pac-Man at the arcade. It really has those vibes. But again, it also incorporates a lot of digital a digital aesthetic. There's a lot of things that bring us into the future, even with the different shapes and the color combinations. So future retro is a perfect name for this trend. And then if you look at these pictures, you can see the first one is a tablescape done by American designer Whit Hazen. And you can see here that, again, it's very graphic and fun. And it's, again, using lots of pastels. And then the other two photos are from Hella Mardell's studio. And she's located in Denmark. And she's doing lots of lighting and glass in these round, bulbous shapes and all of these different pastel tones with that are punctuated by bright blue or bright red or an orange. So again, you have those pastels, but you also have some of those brights sneaking in there. And she also uses a lot of brass, and that's another part of this trend. You have the chrome, you have the metal, and you have brass. So it's very upbeat, very happy, a very positive trend. And then finally, let's look at these images. These are from Applicata or Applicata. I'm sorry, I butchered the name. I'm not sure what you actually call this. And then the next is Tact. and then Sofa Company, and then Sugar and Cloth, which is a blog in the US. And you can see here that in all of these examples, there's loads of pastels, but it's still, in their own right. It feels really fun and playful, and the first two are a bit more grown up. It's a great trend. It's a lot of fun if you have a light heart and you really want to live in a way that it communicates a lot of positivity and happiness. This is your trend. And let's look now at modern craft. This is, I believe, our second to the last. Modern craft is beautiful. It's elegant. This is a picture from Sanya Pell. She is a British art director and stylist, and she works with Elle Decor, and she does the most beautiful styling for their magazines. This is an example of her work. You can see this lovely chaise lounge. Looks like it's made from cork and steel. You can see there's artwork. This trend is all about a home gallery. It's all about honest and trustworthy materials, innovative materials, clever upcycling and recycling. There's ceramics, there's clean lines, there's imperfection, natural, raw elements. It's moody, it's warm, it's cozy. There's imperfection. It's very natural, it's raw. There are wabi-sabi elements, Japanese elements, and it's really handmade craft meets technology. So you have that traditional craftsmanship, but you're merging it with the new technology in that you're taking something and you're really bringing it forward. You're elevating it even beyond, the original piece. So you're making something even better and more valuable. It's very artisanal as well. And you'll notice a lot of art and sculpture in this particular trend. Let's look at this house. There's one room here that I wanted to really show you. It was designed from Dominique Haig, and she's a designer, I believe, in Amsterdam. And she's an architect as well. And this room, she says, is a minimalist Japanese design with sleek lines and earthy materials combined with classical architecture and some vintage pieces. In the bedroom, we wanted to have some natural fiber carpeting just for the tactile coziness of it all. So this is a historic Amsterdam canal house that got a Japanese-inspired makeover. So this modern craft, you see that it's modern, it's clean. There's a lot of really beautiful, clean lines, classical architecture, vintage pieces. It's sleek, it's very upscale, but also you have that mix of old and new, and it just looks so beautiful and it's so inspiring. And then here you can see more examples of this modern craft trend. And these photos are from Zara Home, and also the top two, this one and this one, are from Kelly Worsler, who is a Los Angeles-based designer, and she's a real tastemaker and trendsetter. And these are her own designs. These are her own pieces that she's done along with some artists that she works with. And you can see here, this is modern craft at its finest. It's just absolutely, everything is well thought out. It really looks like you're living in a gallery. It's just beautiful. Here you can see her with a large pot in her hand, and she has recently started working with a lot more artists and is selling their work on her website. And I'm going to quote something that she says here that's in reference to this image. She says, known for his innovative use of unlikely materials, Dutch artist Dirk van der Kuij demonstrates how traditional craftsmanship and technology work cohesively to produce one-of-a-kind functional art. The designer's signature collection features a range of upcycled design that embrace the subtle anomalies found in reclaimed materials. So you can see here that, modern craft is not just about showing some things from, 100 years ago and just making that a trend. This is about taking something from 100 years ago and applying, new things to it, applying a new way of making it, applying a new material to it, making it into something very similar to what it was, but elevating it in some way, taking something traditional and bringing technology to work, and to blend these things, to blend traditional craftsmanship with technology to create something that is really an excellent example of how to use the old and the new together, and to take something modern that's also a craft or that has a real history in it. And this is just, it's absolutely stunning. And then you can also see part living space, part gallery space. That's, again, part of all of this. And my friend Sanya Pell shows these images on her website, but these are from Elle Decoration in the UK magazine there. I'm sure you're very familiar with it. And again, it is just all about bringing art and sculpture together into the home or into any type of space. It's really a blend of the art and the sculpture, the old and the new, and merging these things in a way that just looks spectacular and has a really grounding feeling. You know, it feels very calm. It feels very soothing, these rooms. And even though they definitely make a statement, they don't feel like you're living in a museum. You still feel like you can relax and you can be at ease in these types of spaces. The next example is craftsmanship that takes center stage in Raku. It's a portable lamp that was made by Sebastian Herkner, German designer for and Tradition, which is a Danish brand. And this is a portable lamp with a handmade ceramic base. It's named after the traditional Japanese pottery technique. Raku is a compact lamp with considerable presence. He says, drawing inspiration from the age-old art form, the lamp features a hand-sculpted ceramic base with a crackle glaze that varies slightly in each piece, serving as a reminder to enjoy the imperfections. So again, referencing that wabi-sabi. So a lot of people now, I've mentioned this much earlier in my presentation, but a lot of people now, the consumers, are thinking more and more about how things are made. And that really ties into this trend of modern craft. We want to ask questions. We want to know, where are things manufactured? Who's making them? What are the materials? How are they sourced? Are workers being treated fairly? Is there child labor involved? You know, we're asking all of these questions now. In these two images, you can see these. I shot these at Tisca in Romania. This is a carpet company, and this is their manufacturing in Romania. And I had the pleasure of spending time with them there and observing how they make their carpets. And I got to see where their wool came from and talk to the artisans who make all their carpets. And it was just overwhelmingly inspirational, because I got to see, like, from beginning to end, how their carpets are made and why they charge what they charge for these carpets, even though they're not really expensive, but they definitely are more than what you'd find at, you know, the local retailer. They're priced higher than that, but for good reason. You know, they have people here that are working on looms, that are hand finishing these carpets, that are sourcing this wool from all over Europe, from New Zealand, from Germany. You know, they really put a lot into what they're making. So of course the price will reflect that, but also the quality reflects that. You can keep these rugs for your whole life. You can buy a rug for your room and you can keep it for generations. So these are the questions that we need to ask. We need to really understand more about where things are coming from and how are they made and how are the people who are making them being treated. And then finally, I mentioned this in another presentation I gave for DOMOTEX, I think last year. So if you were watching last year, my presentation, this was a slide that was in my deck from last year that I wanted to bring into this year as well, because it's still so current and really makes sense. But we need to make smarter, more sustainable choices. And I love this quote from Benjamin Hubert. He's a British industrial designer. He says, leading design brands need to stop valuing affordability over sustainability or risk becoming obsolete. That couldn't be more true. And as consumers, we also need to stop valuing affordability over sustainability, because that's where we're going to get in trouble. The planet is already suffering because of a lot of bad choices that consumers are making. And the only way we can stop it is to start making better choices and to start asking questions. So the modern craft trend is escape. It's calm, it's moody, it's earthy, it's organic, it's sculptural, it's neutral. And I hope that you've really enjoyed looking at this trend with me. So let's finish now with the final trend. It's called Loud and Proud. And you'll see why in a second. So Loud and Proud, this is a maximalist, bold color, bold pattern, bold everything. This is, you know, absolutely no fear decor. There's a lot of colors that clash. It's very artistic, it's creative. It has some DIY elements, some handmade, lots of vintage and vintage throwbacks. It's fun. There's lots of fun shapes. It's quirky. There's wallpaper. There's patterned flooring and rugs. It's a little rebellious. It's cheeky. It's humorous. There's statement pieces. There's multiple colors on walls and ceilings and floors. There's a great style mix, and it's very personal. It's very bespoke, and it's unique. These are two pictures that I found that I think really encapsulate this vibe. The first one is from Alan Cullender, and the second is from Anna Spiro Design. Again, it's just, these pictures are so perfect for this, this trend. Now let's look at these examples. The first one is from Alt in Berlin, and the other two are from Luke Edward Hall. And this is also a great representation of this loud and proud movement, because you can see there's such a mix. There's checkerboard floor, there's patterned floral wallpaper, ceilings are painted, moldings are painted. You have leopard on the sofa. You have, chevron, black and white stone flooring. You have a classical French wallpaper. I mean, if you were to put all of this on a mood board, you would say, oh my God, this is never going to work. But when you see it in a space, it actually works wonderfully. It's fun. And at the end of the day, for people who really want to show a big personality at home, they really want to show a lot of fun stuff at home, this is the ideal trend, especially for color lovers. I really like that part of this trend is all about statement pieces. So it's that, statement wall, that big piece of art, or that really loud and bold rug. This rug is called Ava's Paintings. It's a series of carpets made by a 3-year-old artist. She's the daughter of Rie Vershaan in the Netherlands, and her name is Ava. And these pieces are released to share the free spirit of childhood and make it a part of our daily lives and homes. So again, this is the type of design style where everything goes. As long as you follow your heart, you throw in a lot of color, and you have a lot of fun, this is your trend. Now let's look at Alt Berlin. I spoke about their values. I read their core values in the beginning of this presentation. So let's just look briefly at their design. These are some of their rugs and their furniture and mirrors. You can see lots of bold color and bold shapes. And then this is an example of no fear decor. This is from Atelier ND in Amsterdam. And here you can see this is clearly no fear. There's so much going on here. And for people who love all of this color and pattern, and this is a utopia. This is perfection. So I'm sure that if you're a color lover, you're looking at these images and you're just feeling like, wow, someone sees me. This is definitely, absolutely a happy palette. You can see too, there's lots of references to the 70s, lots of references to the 80s. There's no fear in this type of decor. This is a style mix from HK Living. Again, old and new, lots of references to, mid-century style, to the 70s, but also lots of references to the future as well. So it's a great style mix, and that's really what this trend is all about. So I want to wrap up by just, first of all, thanking you for sticking with me through these 4 beautiful trends. I'm glad I was able to explain them to you and take you through them visually. Finally, I just want to wrap up by talking about mood spaces, which is something that I'm in charge of for DOMOTEX for 2023. So in January, when you come to the fair, you'll see these special mood spaces, and I'll tell you what they are. So the mood spaces are basically in the spirit of concept store formats. They're spaces that show a mood that forms kind of a themed world. So there'll be 5 of them. Each trend stand is done by a German-based designer. So there's me, and then there's 4 other teams of designers who are working on their own stand. Each represents a current mood or a trend for 2023 interiors. We're showing rugs, of course. We're also showing paint colors, furniture, different lighting, and other objects, so that we're really creating this world, so that when you're at a fair like DOMOTEX and you're just looking at flooring, it's nice to be able to go over to the mood spaces and look at flooring with everything else that goes into a room. So you can really start to visualize how rugs and floors work in a actual space. It will be incorporating the Floored by Nature theme for DOMOTEX for 2023 into each of our trend stands. And that will be interesting for you, I believe, to see. And then they're all, again, they're going to act as a real source of visual inspiration for all who visit. And one thing that I find that's just wonderful is that the spaces are surrounding a cafe that the DOMOTEX is building for us so that you can take a break, you can have a coffee, you can have a piece of cake, you can look at our moods and our spaces and be inspired, take photos, share them on social media, and really enjoy what you see. Now, finally, I have to show you the designers. So Sebastian Herkner is going to have his own mood space. I've seen it already. The rendering is beautiful. I love what he's chosen for his mood space. The colors, the patterns, it's just wonderful. Studio Bezo Marguerre in Hamburg, they're also going to have a mood space along with Peter Ferrens, who is an art director and stylist and furniture designer based in Hamburg as well. He's working for Schöne Wohnung for many years as an art director and stylist. And then you have Mark Brown, who's a designer based in Berlin, and his studio, and he will have a mood space as well. And then, of course, me, I'll have my own mood space where I'll be showing lots of my favorite things in a theme. So you'll get to step into the Holly world and enjoy that as well. So each one of us will have our own little worlds that you'll get to visit and enjoy at the 2023 DOMOTEX happening in January. So thank you so much for joining me today for this presentation. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you've learned something new, that you feel inspired. I'm curious if you want to comment under this video and let me know which of the 4 trends resonate with you, which of the 4 trends do you like the most? And also, if you're going to be at DOMOTEX, please stop by and visit our mood spaces because we'd love to welcome you and have you there. And if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Decorate, or you can visit my blog at decorateblog.com. So this has been Holly Becker. I'm really pleased to be here with you today, and I hope you've enjoyed my trend presentation for 2023. And most of all, thank you, DOMOTEX, for having me today. Bye-bye.